The next counter that we're talking about is M&M. Gul purchased M&M at 2896 and he wants to add more, and he wants to know whether this is the right time to buy more or there is more downside to this. The stock is currently down by about 5.7 odd%. We had an exclusive story today in the morning. We will take you to that story in a bit. But before we go to that, Jatin, quickly your view with respect to M&M on the charts?
See, M&M has reached a very crucial support zone of 2650, 2630 on the downside. I think last year between July, September and somewhere in the month of October, this zone has been acting as a very crucial support zone. So I believe that this zone will once again act as a very crucial support zone, and we are expecting buying interest to resume from this zone. So yes, around this zone of 2600, one can average out or add to his existing holdings in M&M. So overall, the structure is range bound, but yes, current levels or around the 2600 levels, one can average it.
And the stock reacted quite sharply in trade yesterday. It dropped initially and then recovered about 5.5% from the low point, but today it's under quite a considerable amount of pressure on the downside. Of course, the story that we were talking about, that Mahima just told you about, is the fact that the government may modify the terms of its EV policy that it announced about a year back that could come into play right now. And this is at a time when the rumor and the buzz is that Tesla is readying for an India entry. You've seen a lot of news stories out there about the potential price of those vehicles. We also had source-based information coming through on that. But here's what Shrimi's report had to say. This is essentially what she had reported earlier. Listen in.
Government is working on finalizing the guidelines on the new EV policy. Remember, the EV policy requires the investment of 4,150 crore, which gives you the concessional duty of 15% tariff from the current 110% tariff at this point of time. So what we've been given to understand that government is working on making some changes in the terms and condition of the EV policy, and in fact companies and car makers may give a mandate to have a revenue target of 2,500 crore by the second year itself from the date of manufacturing unit being set up. In fact, in the draft policy which was approved last year itself, already have a provision of 5,000 crore revenue target in the first 4 years and 7,500 crore by the fifth year. So this is one addition which is going to be crucial if at all they are going to come as a change in the final policy. Other than that, the assembly line could be included in the existing factory, and any past investment by these car makers whomsoever is interested in the policy would not be considered as a fresh infusion. Any land building cost will also be not counted as a part of the total investment. However, there are consideration around that 5% of the total investment could go towards the EV infrastructure. So that consideration is still in work. So overall, some terms and conditions could see some tweaking, and once the scheme will be notified, the application will be sought, and 2 to 3 months of the timeline will be given for the approval, and after the approval comes, the companies can go ahead with the import. This is important and coming at a time when Tesla, one of the considered to be a key beneficiary of the EV policy, is planning its foray in the Indian market. So this is important, and we've been also told from our sources that 2 to 3 car makers have already showed interest. However, there is no such commitment came so far. So government, especially the heavy industry ministry, who is the nodal ministry, is working with the commerce ministry and finance ministry on the proposal, on the changes, and we will see some development in next month itself. And if all goes fine in the internal consultation, we would see that application will be invited by April itself.
All right, interesting one out there. Thank you so much for that, Shrimi. Now, Mahindra & Mahindra's group CEO and Managing Director Anish Shah told NDTV Profit that he was confident of competing with Tesla. Listen in.
Because that's exactly the question that was there 25 years ago when various deep-pocketed global players came into India and Mahindra was written off as dead, saying you're not going to be able to compete with them. Right? That's happened on multiple occasions. Today, we have the products that speak for themselves. And in fact, we went to the extent where at our launch, at our test center in Chennai, we actually had some of the best vehicles in the world there along with our vehicles, and we invited the folks at the launch to drive all of them. And our vehicles stood up extremely well against some of the best vehicles, some of which were priced 3 times or 4 times our vehicle as well. So that confidence today comes from the people we have, from what they've done, from what they've developed. And therefore, we feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete with various folks.
All right, Samir, quickly your view on this entire EV policy thing and how does it, overall impact the Indian auto players?
So the EV policy, whenever it comes, will be a good thing that happens. At the end of the day, our Indian car companies have launched good products. What is the problem is the pricing at the moment when it comes to these EVs. They are much more expensive than the ICE vehicles, and which is why the adoption has not happened. So if there are certain incentives given by the government to push the entire EV space and make it more competitive, I think the opportunity is very large. For me, Mahindra has launched extra cars. What Anish talked about, the fact that their products are very competitively priced and the features that they offer us are extremely good. Plus, the distribution reach that they have is phenomenal. The servicing and all of those things will be able to be taken care of a lot more easier than for a Tesla who's just setting up its base. So the entire EV policy that comes through will benefit everyone across the board. Of course, we need to see what exactly comes in it. But we feel the opportunity is very large, and companies that have the products in place. So where Mahindra is there, the Tatas are there. I think they are ahead of the curve. Maruti is probably a little behind the curve. So they need to do a bit of a catch up. But of course, they have the fastest reach and the best pricing and all of those things. So I'm sure they'll be able to get their act together. But I believe the opportunity is extremely large, and this is a space that one should focus on, and there will be money made for investors in this space.